Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Mystic Tides Tarot and today we are going to try a pick a card reading with 3 options now. Last week if you were here we did 2. The upload was smooth, so let's see if we can pull a lengthier video this time without having issues with uploading. Not that you need to know all those details, but I have not looked at these cards yet, so let's find out what each pile is about. Pile 1. We have the Two of Wands, keyword being purity. Pile 2, we have the Seven of Worlds, keyword being breakthrough. Pile 3, we have the Nine of Crystals, keyword being narrowness. So you can pause the video here if you'd like to zoom in on any of these images. These are different collage pieces, I should say. So they have multiple images inside each one. Maybe the colors, maybe the keywords attract you to the pile, or maybe as soon as you saw the visual or the turning of the card, you're like, that's it, that's what I need today. Do as your intuition tells you, as your gut instinct tells you, and you will hopefully be pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I kind of ran out of gas on that one, didn't I? Okay, so timestamps are going to be down below for each of the piles, and I'll see you for your pick a pile reading. Okay, so pile number 1, we have purity, Two of Wands. Now we will be using the Tarot of the Sweet Twilight, just in case anybody's interested. I also try to do my best in writing down the name of the decks that I'm using, just in case you want to go ahead and check those decks out yourself. So let's see, what does pile 1 need to know right now? That's what we're pulling on. What does pile 1 need to know right now? This one, oh, this one, and this one. I feel like there's one more, this one. That was the bottom one. Okay, so we have the Sun, Four of Chalices, Temperance, Four of Pentacles, and Five of Chalices. So 2 major arcana, 2 fours, 2 chalice cards. With this reading, we're going through a time where there's a lot of highs and lows. And this isn't meant to scare you in any way. This is meant to kind of, I hate to use the word test, but it's not testing in the way where you're being challenged to see if you're worth it. It's more like testing yourself. It's testing you to see if you're ready to take on the things that you've been asking for. So for example, I guess we could use the old example. I say it's an old example because I've heard it plenty of times, but that example of winning the lottery, how they say, oh, a lot of people that have won the lottery, they don't seem to be able to retain that money. And it could be for a couple of different reasons, but let's just say, for example, if you have no financial literacy, if you don't have people that you consider to be educated and trustworthy in your corner to help you manage that newfound wealth, what do you think is going to happen to that wealth? So this is kind of like the Sun and Temperance is telling me you're in a time in your life where you're starting to see things come through for you that you've wanted in a long time, maybe on a small scale at first, but it is ramping up, right? And with the Four of Chalices, the Four of Pentacles, and the Five of Chalices, it tells me that there's times where maybe things feel a bit intimidating and scary. So you kind of want to go into maybe a disassociated type of state where you kind of want to numb by maybe binge watching something that's comforting to you because the big feelings that you're feeling are scary and intimidating. It's also telling me that right here, this Four of Pentacles is that card of like wanting to grab on to what's safe and sticking to what's safe, right? Which is similar. These two are kind of similar. Right here, you're kind of like disassociating in a way, or maybe if that's not the word that you like to hear, it's also a way of kind of ignoring something for the time being because it just feels so damn good to do it. And there's nothing wrong with that if you can dose it in a way where it's not going to ruin your thirst for that dream in the long run, right? Because we all deserve to take breaks. It shouldn't be go, go, go all the time. And sometimes we do need to step away, take a breather, take a rest day, watch TV for a whole day. Sometimes we need to do that. I get that. However, when do we come back? How do we come back? How do we make sure that we come back so we don't get stuck in what seems to be the safe place, right? And then right here with the Five of Chalices, this tells me that maybe after you do take those breaks because you feel like, okay, this is too much. I don't know if I'm ready to take this on. So I'm just going to like hang around here and play it safe. Eventually you feel guilty for that. And you feel like, oh my God, I lost all this time. These opportunities I said no to because I was too scared and I decided to play it safe. Now I'm regretting it. So there's a little bit of regret happening, but these are all minors. Okay. So these aren't like, you did this one thing and it ruined your entire job or your entire dream or the entire situation. That's not what this is. This is on a micro level, okay? The big players here is the Sun and Temperance. And the reason I think it has to do with like a dream or like something that's of ambition is because we had the Two of Wands as the main card, the main energy for this reading. And the Two of Wands has a lot to do with enterprise. I know that the keyword here is purity, but the way that the tarot traditionally reads, it's not with that keyword. However, using this deck and merging those two ideas together, the idea of purity, but also the idea of laying down the plans to bring those dreams forth. It's kind of like you need to approach it from a place of not so much complication. Because if you're trying to reach that goal, you're going to come up to things that are going to feel icky. And we don't continue to preserve that purity, I guess, for the lack of a better word, if we're muddying it up with all of these like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm not, I regret it. Oh man, you're kind of like jumping around like this, right? So we want to avoid that because the Sun is telling us that you are going to get what you want. It just may not show up how you want it because of course we want things to be easy. Who doesn't? Like, come on. Like we say we like challenges, but in reality, we only like the challenges that we think we can surmount. We're not looking for challenges that are insurmountable. And if we knew that every single challenge was insurmountable, how many of us would actually pursue those challenges? Not many of us, right? But the Temperance is also here to remind us that we can do both of these things. Not saying that you can stay safe and take risk, but you can pursue what your ultimate dream is, your ambition, this feeling of the Sun, that feeling you get of accomplishment when you finally get that thing you've been working so hard for. You can feel that and also be working on these little tiny pieces of yourself that are scared and that want to be safe and that are feeling these emotions and that have to cry and take breaks. You can be manifesting that beautiful thing and still be going through these emotions. It's like this ebb and flow, and that's what the Temperance is here to remind us, that it's not like, oh, I have to be feeling good all the time or else I'm not manifesting what I want. That's a lie. We're always manifesting. We never stop manifesting. It's just that how we manifest changes from person to person based on our minds and our abilities to hold emotions and energies. So whoever this is, I guess the main message that I'm being conveyed to share with you here is that it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to have maybe a little bit of anxiety. Or maybe sometimes when you're feeling it, it doesn't feel like a little bit. It feels fucking disgusting and horrible and like you want to die. I've been there. And it gets better. But it only gets better if you continue to put in the work. And that also means that you get to test the work you've been putting in. Like, for example, if you're working on like breath work or meditative practices, as let's just say that's part of your toolbox now to help dealing with this anxious feeling or these thoughts that seem to be sabotaging you. The only way you figure out if that is working is by stepping into the uncomfortable and testing it and taking it for a ride. And then going back and reassessing, okay, was I able to use those tools? Was I able to actually, in the thick of it, in the middle of feeling those horrible feelings, was I able to actually utilize what I've been practicing? And if the answer is yes, amazing, great, keep doing it. And if the answer is no, what can we do to maybe find new tools or really strengthen the ones that we have? And being brutally honest with ourselves about it, because you deserve that Sun card moment. You deserve to have everything that you've ever wanted. And having these feelings and these emotions are a part of it. They are not going to prevent you from getting it. Okay? Okay, I believe our time is up. So I am going to leave you with this message. I hope that it resonated. And more than anything, I hope that it really sat with you. Not that it sat with you, that doesn't sound right. I hope that it hit something. And I hope that it was something that you needed to hear and that it made something click, even if it was on the most micro of levels. And I will see you for your next reading. Goodbye. Okay, pile 2, we have the Seven of Worlds. Okay, let's see what we got. And in case you're wondering, I shuffle until certain calls, wow. Oh my gosh, can I talk? I shuffle until certain cards call to me. It's an energetic feeling that I have, that I feel on my hands with the cards, and that's how I know what cards. And that's why you'll see me stop sometimes, because I need to verify, like, okay, is this one? Okay. Okay, Seven of Worlds. We have Justice, Three of Chalices, the Empress, the Hermit, and the Hierophant. That's a lot of major arcana. So there is no doubt about it that you are going through some major change. It's so major that it's life-altering, basically. It's not something that is going to be over in a week. This is something that's going to stick around for a while. And it's all good. Like, it's all a good thing. I don't, yeah, there's nothing here that would make me feel like, oh, I don't know, or any type of like weird energy or anything like that. And boy, is that beautiful. So looking at the Seven of Worlds, the Worlds is the Pentacles suit, if you did not know, or if you're not familiar with this deck. And it has the keyword breakthrough. Now, the Seven of Pentacles is typically in the, Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot, which is the one that a lot of people use, and the one that usually we're using to learn meanings of the tarot initially. That one has to do with putting in the work, and not just putting in the work, but also understanding that there's still so much work to be put in. And whether that be physical or like skill wise, if it's more of a mental effort, is besides the point. The main message is there's still more work to put in, but right here with the keyword breakthrough, it's as if telling us that we have been putting in the work. And even though we weren't sure where it was going, we still kept fucking doing it. And you are being rewarded for that. And this is your reward. We have the Justice, which there's going to be a balance now. So like I mentioned before, you were putting in that work and you're like, I don't even know if this is going anywhere. I don't even know if this is doing anything. This is you getting your just desserts because of that work you've been putting in. Then we have the Three of Chalices and the Empress. Now, Three of Chalices in this card, it looks a little bit different, but it's a celebration card. It's a card of very happy, elated emotions. And then the Empress, which is the mother, she is going to make sure that the earth has its nutrients. That's what came through. So I don't know. I don't think I've used that phrasing before, but maybe that resonates with you somehow. Then we have the Hermit, which is the one who went away to make sure that they were putting in the time to acquire that knowledge that one can only get in solitude, right? And then the Hierophant. The Hierophant is the spiritual leader. It's the one that people look to in times of need to give them that next step. So it's as if the work that you've been putting in has to do with people. It has to do with almost like a parenting of sorts, but it is associated with you and the land. So maybe you are like a spiritual teacher, or maybe you've been wanting to step into teaching spiritually. That's kind of what I'm getting here, because the balance also means that you are someone who seeks balance. And then the Hermit, this is someone who knows how to search within for that secret knowledge that only those who aren't afraid to traverse the depths of themselves can acquire. And then the Hierophant, which is literally the culmination of someone who marries, the mothering and nurturing of the land with introspection and knowledge of self. This is beautiful. I don't feel that I have a whole lot more to say about this, except for like, congratulations, whoever this is. You've done amazing, and all of the work that you were doing that you weren't sure was going to lead to where you wanted it to lead is going to lead you to a place that maybe you never even thought of. And maybe it's not what you thought you wanted either, but here it is. So congratulations. That's all I have for you, pile 2. And I'll see you at the next reading. Bye. Hello, pile number 3. We have the 9 of crystals, which is also the 9 of swords. And this card, in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith sense of it all, typically has to do with anxieties, mental fatigue, even some kind of nightmares may be occurring. So if that's you, then welcome to your reading. Also, I'm so sorry you're going through that, but let's see why. What do you need to know right now about this? Okay, the World card, that one tells me that you're not going to be dealing with this for long, so that's good. Okay, and you have good things coming in. So we have the World, the Knave of Wands, which is the Page of Wands, the Four of Swords, the Two of Chalices, and the Magician. The World tells me this is you ending a cycle. You're going through the dark part of what this is. You're nearly to the end. Also, this is the 9, 10 being the end, and then the cycle starts over, right? So you are going to the end, and this is kind of telling you, yeah, you're at the end. You're at the end of this horrible, anxious, or just like self-destructive thought process, whichever it may be. I know it has to do with the mind. And, maybe it has to do with the fact that you overthink a lot of things. You think that there's never enough time. You're not able to really catch yourself when you're overdoing it. So you end up burnt out, and that may give you nightmares. It may give you insomnia, or it may just have you having a bit of panic or anxiety when you're in places where you really shouldn't be having those, right? So I'm sorry that you're going through that. I can definitely sympathize with that. And, let's see what else. What else do we have here? We have the Knave of Wands and the Four of Swords. So before I get into this one, I'm going to jump to this one, because this one, Four of Swords, swords, also mental suit, right? The mind. Four of Swords is a card of rest. So resting the mind is recommended. When this comes up, I also think of like meditation. And I'm not saying like meditation as in journey work or like a guided meditation, unless that's the only type of meditation you could do. I would strongly recommend doing more of grounding meditations. You can literally YouTube search grounding meditations and try. I think some are as short as like 5-7 minutes, and then work your way up as you can. But this is kind of like an SOS for you that you might want to really try. This is giving me similar energies to pile number 1. So if you felt called to pile number 1, then maybe go check them out. But it's not necessary because the message is so freaking similar. But anyways, so yes, definitely try some meditative techniques. You need to rest your mind. So whatever it takes for you to rest your mind is what you got to do. Because even though you're at the end of this, the reason you're at the end of this is because you need to implement this. And as soon as you do, it will be the end of that. Right? And this isn't like this is the end of that and never again. It's like this is the end of this cycle. So make sure that you have this tool or newfound tool in your tool belt, because it will be coming in handy for you in other areas of life as well. With the Knave of Wands, we have someone who is very passionate, very fiery, which is probably another one of the reasons why it's so hard to like get your thoughts in this organized manner, because you're so passionate about everything that you're doing right now. And it's so sad, right? Like, this is how I feel because I've gone through this. It's so sad that you are finally in a place in your life where you're so excited about so many different things, but now you have this way of thinking that feels crippling because it drains you. And then maybe in your case, maybe not, it has you rest in a way that makes you sad, which leads to you feeling like you're never going to really be able to do all of those things that get you so excited, do all of those passions. And that's not true, because then we have the Two of Chalices, and this is like the perfect partnership. So it's kind of like saying, like, we need to be friends and maybe even almost lovers with our emotions. Not suppressing them, but feeling them. And maybe with this rest and this feeling of emotions, we can finally learn how to truly wield, right? Because the magician is someone who knows how to use his tools, right? He has all the tools he needs to bring forth and manifest everything that he's ever wanted. But how well we're good at using these tools, like I said, how well are we good at using these tools like meditation to help cope with this busy mind that has a lot of passions and is really excited? You know, how are we using these tools? Okay. Yeah, that's a big pause. I guess that was more of a rhetorical question, but having that pregnant pause leads me to believe that you have to answer that question yourself. How are you using your tools? And maybe it's because you claim to have tools already, but you're not using them. Or maybe the way you're using them isn't the most optimal way. And even if you don't know what the most optimal way is, this is asking you to find that. And the only way you find it is by what? You fuck around and you find out. That's the only way you find out. It's trial and error. And I know. That's so fucking annoying. I get it. But that's what it is. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. You cannot think your way out of having to trial and error shit. Yeah, you can find certain shortcuts, but a lot of the times your thinking about the shortcut lasts longer than it would have taken you to also get experience. So swallow that. And I have no idea why I said swallow that, but maybe that's because, like, I got this visual of someone swallowing a sword, and maybe it's because we're dealing with the Suit of Swords, and that has to do with the throat. It has to do with speaking. It has to do with communication. It has to do with the mind. And there is a disconnect right now between the emotions and the mind and resting it enough. There's a lot of passion and there's a lot of fire. But how are we making sure that the fire isn't burning us? You know, how are we making sure that the blades that we use aren't sharper than what we know how to handle or how to wield? You know, we need to create that relationship. And a lot of the times that also requires us to release pent-up emotions that we've been bypassing because we've been letting ourselves get swept away by our passions, which is still a beautiful thing. I'm not saying don't do that. Or maybe perhaps not resting enough. So you have the tools. And this overthinking, this isn't forever. This showing up tells me the ending of that cycle, especially at this level, is coming to an end. Like, the ending of this level is coming to an end, and it's going to be a big ending. But it's also imperative that you understand these are going to be the keys to making sure that that big ending is as big as it needs to be. Because you already know, as humans, we are repeaters of cycles. So what cycles are we repeating? What cycles are we saying, hasta aquí ya no más? Which means you shall not pass, basically. You shall not pass. Quoting Lord of the Rings now, Gandalf. Because you need to put your foot down. And that does not come without pain. And I think about Lord of the Rings right now. And you think about, if you know Lord of the Rings, what Gandalf had to sacrifice. He had to go through a type of death. Right? So I hope that you can accept this message with an open heart and understand that I am only trying to bring more clarity to the situation. And I am in no way wishing you any type of struggle or harm or ill will. But I want you to be as clear as you can be when you are processing this, so that you can take the next steps necessary so that you can be that cycle breaker. Because so many of us are that, but we're lost in the sauce. We're lost in the mind. We're trying to intellectualize everything because that's what we know the most, is the mind. because we were either told by society we got to shut down the emotions, or we were told that we can only be passionate if it's certain things, you know? Okay, pile 3, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed your reading, and I will see you guys next week. Goodbye.